Hello and welcome to Craft with Sarah. This is a very special video today because it's part one of a 4-part series into making shaker cards with your Cricut. So what's a shaker card? Well, quite simply, it's a card where you've cut out a window and put some acetate on it and then filled the gap with sequins or glitter or other little embellishments so that when you twist and tilt the card, you get this fun shaker effect. There are loads of different types of shaker cards you can make, which is why I wanted to create a series. And we're going to start today with this very simple one. So we're just going to cut a square out and then how to make a basic shaker card. And then in the next 3 videos, we're going to build on this skill to create more and more complex cards as each video goes. Now you'll see I've given you a sneaky preview over here on the left of the other cards. But if you want to see them in more detail, keep watching this video all the way to the end and I'll go through the other cards that we'll be making over the course of this series. But for now, we're going to crack on with this basic shaker card. And the first thing we need to do is cut out our window, and for that we need design space. I'm going to be making a square card for this project, so I'm going to go into shapes in the left and choose square. For the outside of the square, I want that to be the size of the card that I'm doing. So I'm using a pre-made card blank, which I bought from a craft store, which is my 6x6 inch card. You could cut one on your Cricut if you wanted to make one yourself, but I like using the pre-made ones just because it's that little bit quicker. So my card is 6x6 inches, so I'm going to put 6 in the width and it will change the height for me automatically. If you are making a rectangular card, just click the little padlock icon and then that will let you change the width and height separately to create a rectangle. So for example, you could do 5x7 inches, which is quite a popular size for card making. But as I said, mine's a square, so I'm just going to go back to 6x6 inches and just zoom in so you can see a little bit better. We need to cut the window out of the front of this bit of card. So go into shapes again and choose square. We're going to put this one over the middle and use it to slice out another square from the big one. And to make it easier, make your second square a nice bright colour. Now I want quite a lot of my border showing because I'm going to use a nice pattern paper. So I'm going to make my shaker section, I think 4x4 inches. So that's going to give me a nice border of my pattern around the edge. But equally, it's still a big square. You're going to see lots of sequins and shaker bits through the acetate. To make our card look as good as it possibly can, we need to make sure that this yellow square is perfectly in the middle of the grey one. So to do that, drag a box around both of them to select both layers. And then in a line along the top, press center. And that's going to shift them about a little bit. So now I know that that yellow square is exactly in the middle of the grey one. When you've done that, it's ready to slice. So I've still got both of my layers selected. I'm going to go down to the bottom of the layers panel and press slice. In your layers, you can now see you've got a few different things called slice result. Click the eye next to the first 2 and then you'll just be left with this shape, which has now got that window cut out. So we're now ready to go ahead and cut, and we only need to cut this one. If you're also cutting the bit of paper that will appear underneath your main shaker window bit, then go ahead and make another square which is the same size as this one. So in my case it would be 6x6 inches, and for that one you don't need to cut the middle out, you just want to cut that square. So for example, if you're using a 12x12 bit of scrapbook paper and you want to cut it to 6x6 inches, just draw another square and you can use that. But in my case I'm using paper that's already 6x6 inches, so I don't need to do that one. Alright, so for this one, I'm all ready to go and make it, so I can click the Make It button. And then I'm going to go through and change all my settings. Go ahead and cut that. I'm using these papers from Dovecraft's Sweet Moments collection to make my shaker card. It's a really cute paper pack with lots of cupcakes and biscuits and things all over it and pretty pastel colours. And I have this in 8x8 and also 6x6, so I've got both versions and I'm going to use one of each to make the card. So here are my bits of paper that I've cut out. So I've got my base card, which is just a 6x6 inch card that I already had, and then I've cut my main square out of one of the 6x6 inch papers, I think it was, and I think it was this outer one that I cut from the 8x8 inch, and then they all go nicely together. And because I've used papers from the same set, all the colours and patterns are all kind of complementing each other and it looks really cute. The first thing I'm going to do is to stick my base bit of card to the front of my card blank. I'm going to do that with some double-sided tape. So just put a little bit down the sides. And normally, whenever I'm doing a video, my tape decides to play up, but today it worked, so we're on to a good start. Okay, so I'm gonna stick this to the front, and I have a feeling, because I cut this one to size just with my paper trimmer, and I think I've gone a little bit wonky, so I might need to just fix that in a minute. I'm just going to stick that so that it's covering my card blank on all sides. If I open it up, you can see, yeah, I've gone over a little bit at the top where I didn't quite cut it straight. So I'm just going to fix that before I do anything else. I've got a metal ruler and a craft knife, and I'm just going to line that up along the edge of my card and just chop that little bit of paper off that was hanging over the edge. There we go. We're going to add this as the shaker part of our card, and to do that we need to add acetate to the window of the card, so the bit in the middle, so that all of our little sparkly bits won't fall out. So here is my acetate. I bought this from everycraftsapound.co.uk, which is one of my favourite craft sites, but you can also pick it up on Amazon or eBay or anywhere that you buy your crafts. So I'm just going to take a bit out. Here we go. It's going to be really hard to show you because it's see-through, but what we want to do is just take a pair of scissors and cut the acetate so that it's going to cover the hole in the back of the card. So I'm just going to cut this down here and about here. So you don't need to be really precise with it. It doesn't need to be a perfect square or anything like that. All it needs to do is go over all of the edges of the card. So we need to stick our acetate to the back of the card, and you can use double-sided tape or glue. I prefer to use glue because then I can be sure that it doesn't have any gaps. So you need to make sure when you're sticking this there are no gaps where there isn't any glue or adhesive. If there are gaps, that means that your glitter or sequins or anything that you put in your shaker card might be able to escape, which we do not want. So I'm just going to go along with my glue and make a line all the way around the edge, and then the bits that I've missed there I'm just going to fill in to make sure that glue is continuous. And put the acetate on. I'm just going to tap the glue down to spread it out, just make sure there aren't any gaps. I do have a little gap there, which I can just pick up the acetate and just fill in the gap. Here we go, push that down, get it all nice and stuck. Now whilst we're waiting for that to dry, we can prepare our foam tape. This is 3D foam tape which comes on a roll, and that is perfect for these shaker cards because you can get nice long continuous lines, which is what we need for this. So my tape fits nicely in the gap of the edge of the back of here, but if yours is too thick you might need to just cut it with scissors down the middle to and do it there so you can see, so that you can get it to fit. But my one is just about perfect for this size, so I'm just going to put it all the way down one edge and get nice and close to the edge of the outside of the card. And then I'm going to go through and do the top and bottom edges, and when you're putting the other edges on you need to put it right up against it. Again, we don't want any gaps between the foam pads, because if there are gaps it means that all of our shaker pieces can fall through those gaps and start leaking out, which would not be good when someone opens the card and they get a lap full of glitter. So to left, again push it right up and stick it down. And then I've just got one more, and it is a little bit tricky when you get to that last one, just because we've got two edges that we need to make sure we are lining up with perfectly without any gaps. There we are. So that is our foam tape all nicely added on. So you can see that when this goes onto the card now, it's going to create a nice 3D effect around the edge, and all of our little glittery bits are going to go in the middle. So the easiest way to do this that I found is to add the glitter to the middle of the card. So you could do it the other way. You could put all your glittery bits in here and then try and stick the card on this way, or you can put the glittery bits straight on your base card and then just stick it over the top. So it is up to you how you decide to do it. So I've got some sequins here. I'm going to sprinkle some, that's quite a lot, sprinkle some into the middle of my card. And I've also got some yellow ones to go with the yellow of the paper that I've used. So again, just put some in the middle. Now you can use glitter, but be careful if you do use glitter because it gets quite staticky, so you might find that it sticks to the top of your acetate and doesn't look as good as it could. So I think sequins and little beaded embellishments, so I've got some little hearts here, that tends to work a little bit better than using glitter. If you're doing a smaller shaker card where you've only got a little bit of space, then glitter can work quite well because sequins might not fit, but generally I find that slightly bigger embellishments is better. So I'm just going to add those in there, squidge down the pile a bit so it's not going to be too tall for my foam pads. And then I'm just going to place my top bit over just to see how that's going to look, to make sure I've got enough sequins and things in there. And I think I do. I'm happy with that. So I'm just going to move that to one side, peel all the bits of backing off of the foam, and then get my card back and just line this bit up and stick it down. There we are. So you want to make sure you push really firmly on all the foam tape to get it to really stick. Remember, we don't want any little areas where those sequins can escape. There we go. So now if I pick it up, you can see I've got that lovely shaker effect, and they're not going to escape anywhere. They're all nicely sealed inside the card. Okay, so here is my lovely sequin shaker card. And now I can just add some final embellishments to decorate it a bit more. So I cut a little border out of bright pink card, and I'm just going to stick that around the edge of the frame just to add a little bit of extra to the design. This of course is completely optional. And I cut this on my Cricut machine as well, using the same slice technique that we used earlier. That's one of the great things about the Cricut, is you can do things like this border, just picking some dog hairs off it, cut things like this border really quickly and easily, and you know that it will be perfectly sized and straight along all the edges. There we are. And then finally, I've just got some little butterflies here. I'm going to pick out a few yellow ones to match the yellow on the card, and just put a couple on each of the corners. And I think it would look nice if these ones stood out a little bit and were a bit 3D. So I've got some little bits of foam tape that I've already cut. I'm just going to put that on the back and stick them on. There we go, number one, and then just do it with the other one as well. Put that on the top. So here's our finished card, all ready to write our message in and then send to our lucky recipient. I hope you've enjoyed this video and that you are going to give shaker cards a go really soon. It's such a lovely technique to make, and once you've mastered the basic shaker, then you can move on to more complex ones. So as I said at the beginning, this is part 1 in a 4-part mini-series on shaker cards. So coming up in a couple of days will be part 2, where I will show you how to cut more complex shapes with your Cricut machine, like this cupcake or this Christmas design, and make your shaker cards have a little bit more excitement than just a square cut out. In part 3, we go a little bit further and make this sunflower card. So on this one, we actually cut the acetate with our Cricut because it is actually in the shape of the sunflower itself. So the sunflower is a topper on this card. And what makes this extra fancy is that every petal is its own separate shaker, which has let me put different embellishments in each of the little petals to create a really unusual and very pretty effect. If you think it can't get better than that, wait until the 4th video, 4th and final one, where we'll make this rainbow card. So it is quite similar to the sunflower, but on this one, every single part of the shaker has a different colour of cardstock behind it. So we will learn how to cut that out on our Cricut, assemble it like a jigsaw puzzle, and then make the shaker. So all of those shaker cards that I've just shown you will be coming up very soon. To make sure you don't miss any of the videos, subscribe to my YouTube channel using the little button below, and then if you hit the bell, that will mean you'll get a notification in YouTube when all of these other shaker videos go live. In the meantime, if you've enjoyed this tutorial on my basic shaker card, so this one that we've just gone through, please give the video a thumbs up, and again, subscribe to my channel for loads more Cricut and card making tutorials. Thank you for watching.